Jai.
Bhakti Devi, Tulsi Devi ki.
Jai.
Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki.
Jai.
Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki.
Jai.
Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki.
Jai.
Nitai Gaura Premanande.
Hare
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Krishna.
All glories to the assembled
Hare
devotees.
Hare
Krishna.
All
Krishna,
glories to the assembled
Hare
devotees.
Hare Krishna,
All glories to the lotus feet of Shri Shri Guru and Shri
Jai.
Gauranga. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Tirtha Swami Nitya Namane Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Shraddhatmane Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhakti Tirtha Iti Namane Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitya Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to today's class on Srimad Bhagavatam. Mr. Bharati, would you like me to do the screen?
Yes, please.
Okay, no problem. Just give me 1 second. There we go. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya,
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya,
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya,
Narayanam Namaskritam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Hudirajit Nasta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Before reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, one should first offer one's respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto the goddess of learning, Mother Saraswati, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. And by regular attendance in classes on Srimad Bhagavatam and rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart becomes almost completely destroyed, and devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is glorified with transcendental songs, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. So we are in the second canto, chapter 4, and text number 11. Sutta uvacha ityupamantrito rajna gunanukatena hare rishikesham anusmritya prativaktam prachakrame. Sutta uvacha ityupamantrito rajna gunanukatane hare rishikesham anusmritya prativaktum prachakrame. Sutta uvacha ityupamantrito rajna gunanukatane hare rishikesham anusmritya prativaktum bhaktam prachakrame. Please chant.
Suta uvacha ityupamantrito ragya gunanukathane hare Rishikesham anusritya prativaktum prachakrame.
श्रुतोवाच इति उपमन्त्रितो राजना गुणानुकथाने हरे ऋषिकेशमनुस्मृत्य प्रतिभक्तुं प्रचक्रमे. हरे कृष्ण.
Sutta uvacha ityupmantrito rajna gunanukatane hare Rishikesham anusmritya pratibhaktum prachakrame. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Iti upantrito ragya gunanukathine hare Rishikesham anusmritya pratibhakritum prachakrame.
Hare Krishna. Sutta uvacha ityaupamantrito ragya gunanukatene hare Rishikesham anusmritya prativaktum prachakrame.
Thank you all for chanting. The synonyms: Sutta Uvacha. Sutta Goswami said, Iti, thus, Upa Mantritaha, being requested, Rajna, by the king, Guna Anukatane, in describing the transcendental attributes of the Lord, Hare, of the personality of Godhead, Rishikesham, the master of the senses, Anusmritya, properly remembering, Prativaktam, just to reply, Prachakrame, executed the preliminaries. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sutta Goswami said, when Sukadev Goswami was thus requested by the king to describe the creative energy of the personality of Godhead, he then systematically remembered the master of the senses, Sri Krishna, and to reply properly, he spoke thus. Purport. The devotees of the Lord, while delivering speeches and describing the transcendental attributes of the Lord, do not think that they can do anything independently. They think that they can speak only what they are induced to speak by the Supreme Lord, the master of the senses. The senses of the individual being are not his own. The devotee knows that such senses belong to the Supreme Lord, and that they can be properly used when they are employed for the service of the Lord. The senses are instruments, and the elements are ingredients, all endowed by the Lord. Therefore, whatever an individual can do, speak, see, etc., is under the direction of the Lord only. The Bhagavad Gita 15:15 confirms this. Sarvasya chaham hridi sanavishto matasmitir jnanam apohanam cha. No one is free to act freely and independently. And as such, one should always seek the permission of the Lord to act or eat or speak. And by the blessings of the Lord, everything done by a devotee is beyond the principles of the four defects typical of conditioned souls. Om Aganatam Barandasha Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Umalitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Swapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Mayam Didati Swapatantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Sutta Goswami said, when Shukadev Goswami was thus requested by the king to describe the creative energy of the personality of Godhead, he then systematically remembered the master of the senses, Sri Krishna, and to reply properly, he spoke thus. So this verse that we're reading today speaks about the necessity and the requirement that before one does any type of activity, we should follow in the footsteps of Srila Sukadeva Goswami. That we should first remember Krishna. Remembering Krishna is encouraged by Krishna throughout the Bhagavad Gita. Mammana bhavamad bhakto. Always think of me, become my devotee, offer your homage unto me, worship me. He tells Arjuna that, carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. At the same time, always think of me in the form of Krishna. Engage your mind in me, engage your intelligence in me, and thus you will always be connected to me. This connection to Krishna is what determines our consciousness, whether we're in Krishna consciousness or we're in Maya consciousness or illusion. The illusion is that we are independent, that we have some type of an existence that is separate from that of Krishna, and that we are acting upon our own, and that the instruments that we use to act belong to us or are created by us, and that ultimately the results that we create are also created by us. We spoke about it on Saturday a little bit, but I'll just repeat this idea that the energy of the Lord, which the energy of the Lord can be divided into two different categories: spiritual energy or superior energy, and material energy or inferior energy. The idea that the energy can be separated from the energetic, that the Shakti can be separated from the Shaktiman, or that the electricity can be separated from the source or the generator, the power plant, is what we often attempt to do in this material world. But when we look at it from a high level and notice that we never really see a situation where energy is separated from its source, we have to understand that our attempt to do this, to try this project where we can become separate from the Supreme Lord and completely independent, is a futile attempt and will eventually fail. And throughout history, we see attempts to do this continually fail. The ultimate failure is that of the time of death. We have the ability to bow down and surrender and recognize the supremacy of Krishna, or at death, in the form of death, we have to bow down unwillingly to Krishna. We do dandavats willingly, or we do dandavats by the force of death. So a very important instruction that we're given here is that Srila Prabhupada starts off by the devotees of the Lord while delivering speeches and describing the transcendental attributes of the Lord, do not think that they can do anything independently. And therefore, we have this wonderful system that before we speak, we offer prayers. We offer prayers to the spiritual master. And the spiritual master is the conduit or the vimedium by which Krishna's energy comes. This is the parampara system, the unchanged philosophical purity, the intent and meaning remains the same generation after generation after generation when it is handled with great care. When the receiver of the knowledge doesn't think that this is mine to manipulate and change according to my own independence or whimsical ideas, my own personal, we say mental speculation, but what that means is I'm going to let my mind decide as opposed to my higher intelligence or buddhi. So when we invoke these prayers, these are not simply just an attempt to just say some kind words. They're a submission that, O Lord, O Gurudev, it is only by your mercy that I'm able to speak anything at all. The knowledge that I have and the knowledge that I will present has only been taught to me, and I'm going to represent to the best of my ability. Now, please, I beg your blessings so that I can be a proper conduit myself. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. We're admitting that we're in a fallen conditioned state, and by mercy, we have been delivered. And then we offer prayers also to Krishna, asking again for his mercy to please bestow and make the situation auspicious. And when we say auspicious, it means that it's Krishna conscious. It's not me conscious. Srila Prabhupada, in one of the quotes that go out every day on the calendar, there's this one caught my attention. This is from November 1st. He says, these two things are always side by side, Maya and Krishna. Krishna is service and Maya is sense gratification. Our duty, therefore, is to be very, very careful because these two things are side by side, very close together. The poison is personal ambition. This personal ambition is an indication of illusion. Person wants to become famous, wants to become recognized, may want to profit, may want to acquire significant knowledge for one's own betterment and betterment of feeling and understanding. But if it is done not in the proper mood of service, the purity will be gone. Oftentimes, Srila Prabhupada speaks about philosophers or professional Bhagavatam reciters, and they may show signs of emotion or feeling, but they haven't been adequately blessed through the Guru Parampara, and they're doing such activities for some profit, adoration, and distinction, as opposed to that of service. And that's an indication of what Srila Prabhupada is speaking about. There's devotional service and then there's sense gratification. And we have to be very, very careful when we act, when we speak, when we eat, when we see, all the activities of the senses, that we are doing it in the mood of service, and we see the connection to the Supreme Lord. There's a verse, and it's being referred to here in this text. It is from the Nectar of Devotion. Some of you may have noticed it. It's about the senses and how Krishna is the master of the senses. There's a name for Krishna. There's even a name for Krishna like this. Krishna is called this by Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita. Rishikesh, master of the senses. So the verse there of Srila Rupa Goswami, it says, Sarvapadi vinir muktam tat pradatvena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhaktir uchate. That devotional service means engaging our senses in the service of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And He is the master of all the senses. When the spirit soul renders service unto the Supreme, there are two side effects that take place. One, we become freed from all material designations or upadis. And the other is that the senses are purified simply by being engaged in the service of the Lord. This is the definition of devotional service, that we engage our senses, this embodiment that we have, and the senses are defined as the gross senses of seeing, hearing, feeling, or rather touching, smelling, tasting. But also, there's another sense, the mind, and that is also being considered as the sense. It's the subtle sense. When we engage these senses in the service of who? Rishikesh, the master of the senses. Our senses become purified. And with purified senses, they then become adequate to become engaged in the service of the Lord. Sometimes we hear of this statement, Srila Prabhupada has said it too, that, please use me as an instrument. What that is saying is, just like an instrument that is played in an orchestra or a band, please use me as one of your flutes or your musical instruments and play me. Or please use me as a type of instrument that can be used to be of some service. Once my senses become purified, the Lord then can engage me properly. But as long as my senses are being used for the purpose of my own sense gratification, then it becomes mixed. Even if there's some tinges of devotion there, still it is mixed with material desires. It becomes alloyed. Just like a metal becomes mixed, there's impurities within it. But the process of engaging one's senses in devotional service, even though there may be some mixed desires, if we're under the proper guidance of mature devotees and a spiritual master, these impurities will eventually go away. How is that? Because we become freed from material designations. How we say this? Our conditioning is that we think that we're our material bodies, and we've been taught this from day one of our existence here in this material world. So it's a very hard thing to practically move away from, even though theoretically and philosophically we may understand it. But how we act in this world, it takes quite a bit of effort to make that happen. And that has to be a conscious effort that we all make. Upadis, what are some of the material designations? Those of place of one's birth, that of one's gender, that of one's distinction or family status, identifying with one's education, position in society, one's physical attributes, whether one being pretty or maybe not, so attractive, one being very athletic, one being very smart, or one, not having those gifts. We identify ourselves with these things. And we think, this is who I am. This is my identity. By engaging oneself in devotional service, which starts with the process of hearing and chanting, and engaging our senses physically in the service of the Lord, we become purified, from this situation. And these two side effects begin to manifest. The positive side effects become manifest within the life of a devotee. I wanted to take a look at Srila Prabhupada's poem, Markene Bhagavat Dharma. I'm going to share it on the screen. And this is a prayer that Srila Prabhupada made when he arrived at Commonwealth Pier in September of 1965 in Boston. And this is an indication that Srila Prabhupada embraced this very teaching of the Srimad Bhagavatam, of how one should first offer prayers to Krishna, asking for his blessings before embarking on any type of mission or activity. The activity that Srila Prabhupada had started in coming to the West, and we've spoken about this before, it was heroic. Aborting a steamship, having poor health, not knowing what to expect when he arrives. This is after a 6-day journey, intense seasickness, heart attacks. And his relationship with Krishna became fortified in this mission. And he arrives here, and we could say that this is probably the most adventurous, or if not the most, one of the most adventurous missionary activities that anybody in recent modern times have engaged upon, especially within the Gaudiya Vaishnava lineage. So I wanted to read, and we can listen to the words of Srila Prabhupada and see how he represents these teachings that are being spoken about in the verse today. I shared it in case you would like to read along. My dear Lord Krishna, you are so kind upon this useless soul, but I do not know why you have brought me here. Now you can do whatever you would like with me. But I guess you have some business here. Otherwise, why would you bring me to this terrible place? Most of the population here is covered by the material modes of ignorance and passion. Absorbed in material life, they think themselves very happy and satisfied, and therefore they have no taste for the transcendental message of Vasudeva. I do not know how they will be able to understand it. So here, Srila Prabhupada, he's speaking to Krishna, and he's saying, I have no idea why you've brought me here. The message that you have is pure, but the people here are covered with ignorance and passion. I do not know how they will be able to understand it. So he's basically admitting that you have some mission here. I don't know how they'll be able to understand it, but obviously you have some purpose. He continues, but I know your causeless mercy can make everything possible because you are the most expert mystic. Srila Prabhupada's admitting, I don't know how this is going to unfold, but I have faith in you, and therefore I'm surrendering unto you, because you are the most perfect mystic. How will they understand the mellows of devotional service? Question mark. O Lord, I am simply praying for your mercy so that I will be able to convince them about your message. I'm praying for your mercy so that I will be able to convince them about your message. Srila Prabhupada didn't think himself as the doer. He didn't think himself that this is my message and I'm just going to be able to speak it. He's saying, please empower me so that I will be able to convince them about your message. All the living entities have come under the control of the illusory energy by your will. And therefore, if you like, by your will, they can also be released from the clutches of illusion. And so beautiful how Srila Prabhupada is laying this out. He's not taking any credit. He understands that this is all, the success is completely up to Krishna. And out of his compassion for all the people that he's about to meet and come in contact with, he's praying to Krishna to please remove the illusory energy that is under Krishna's control. I wish that you may deliver them. Therefore, if you desire their deliverance, then only will they be able to understand your message. Then Srila Prabhupada speaks some words from the Srimad Bhagavatam. I'll fast forward to the end. How will I make them understand this message of Krishna consciousness? Question mark. I'm very unfortunate, unqualified, and the most fallen. Therefore, I am seeking your benediction so that I can convince them, for I am powerless to do so on my own. It's incredible, just Srila Prabhupada's submission to Krishna. Somehow or other, O Lord, you have brought me here to speak about you. Now, my Lord, it is up to you to make a success or failure as you would like. O spiritual master of all the worlds, I can simply repeat your message. So if you like, you can make my power of speaking suitable for their understanding. Again and again, we see this submission and consistent message and prayer of Srila Prabhupada. I have no power. It is all coming from you. If you've brought me here to do something, I'm completely dependent and reliable upon you. We see no independent message here of Srila Prabhupada. There's no personal ambition. It's all about Krishna, please engage me in your service, and I'm dependent upon you. The last couple verses. Only by your causeless mercy will my words become pure. I am sure that when the transcendental message penetrates their hearts, they will certainly feel gladdened and thus become liberated from all unhappy conditions of life. Oh, my Lord, I am just like a puppet in your hands. So if you've brought me here to dance, then make me dance. Make me dance, O Lord, make me dance as you like. We can envision a puppet, and there's the puppeteer. Krishna is the puppeteer. I have no devotion, nor do I have any knowledge, but I have strong faith in the holy name of Krishna. I have been designated as Bhaktivedanta, and now, if you like, you can fulfill the real purport of Bhaktivedanta. Bhaktivedanta is a name, Bhakti, devotion, and Vedanta, the teaching of the Vedas. So that which represents the highest truth of the Bhakti, the cream of all the Vedas, Bhakti. So I hope this message is clear. And this is something that, an instructive message to all of us. We are never to think ourselves as independent. We should see our dependence at all times in all our activities. And please, we have to guard against falling into this illusion that we think ourselves as the doers. Any success that we will have in devotional service is by following in the footsteps of the great acharyas, the parampara system, serving the representatives of Krishna, and ultimately never thinking ourselves independent from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, remembering him always in all our activities. That is Krishna consciousness. And if we want to be used, if we want to be successful in Krishna consciousness, this mentality, this consciousness is essential. Thank you. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I'd like to ask the devotees if they have any reflections or comments, questions. We can do this. We can do this so now.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, very nice class. Very
Hare Krishna.
encouraging and inspiring. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and the facts from the Prabhupada's letters. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We can also use this to compare how we've been taught in modern times, throughout our childhood, throughout our educational upbringing, how to approach situations versus how Sukadeva Goswami is recommending us to do that. Let me reflect. Let me first pray. Let me get the blessings of Lord Krishna. Make sure that I am connected to the Supreme Lord. This element is removed oftentimes from society.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. So I like in this, the senses are instruments and then elements are ingredients. So I like that. And then the purport. And then adding to that, this Sarvasya Chaham Hrisannivishto Matasmriti Jnanam Apohanaksha. So that 15 Bhagavad Gita, it's so meaning thing. And adding to that, Prabhupada's all these things. And he's just had faith on Krishna, that's it, nothing else. He said, do whatever you want with me. I just started, and I don't know how many people will understand. See, we talk, but we don't know how many people understand properly. It might go into different meanings, and they may or may not take it. But he took a very good, strong step to come here, come to this country with all his health and everything. So that is a strong faith and thing a person should have. But it's very rare. So
that's why we need to follow in the footsteps of Srila
Yes.
Prabhupada. It may be rare in the world, but it shouldn't be unknown to us. In our lives, in our practice, we know better.
That's true.
So sometimes we fall into illusion. I mean, that's the only way to say it. We fall into Maya. And sometimes we think, oh, I would like to say something. I would like to do something. The personal ambition starts coming out. We have to be able to check that when it comes. We are selective with people when they speak on and they give classes. especially in the assembly of devotees or speaking to the public. Because this understanding has to be there. We're not simply just to speak, because it's simply just not about being able to publicly speak. You have to be a conduit of Krishna's message. And the message has to be, unchanged, right? Repeating the message. And yes, the message may be based upon a realization, one's devotional understanding, but it's not a manipulated message. It is not a corrupted message. The message remains according to Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. So that's essential. So even if you have somebody that's very eloquent, we have so-and-so, they're a famous actor, let them come and speak. They want to say something about Krishna, But where is their connection? If you're not connected into the power source, right? If you turn the lamp on, but it's not connected to the outlet, right? There's no potency. You can turn the switch, but there's no light. So we have to be connected. Okay. Thank you all for listening today. Take any last questions or reflections if you have them. If not, we can conclude here. Everybody have a wonderful Krishna conscious day. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Kripa Sindhuvi eva cha. Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.